Here we go again. So, Drake has dropped another diss song, Tailor Made Freestyle. And I don't think this is going to show up on streaming services, which was the main request that I had for Push Ups. And now that Push Ups is on streaming, I have played it crazy amounts. It is so catchy. And Drake is amazing when it comes to making diss records as well as hit records. Both of them come together, and this song has just been on repeat for the past couple of days that it has been on there. But now let's talk about Tailor Made Freestyle by itself. And I know Ye dropped a remix of like that. We'll let this video breathe and I'll talk about that in a separate thing. But I want to talk about my main gripe with this first. And it's not for what you think it is. So the Snoop Dogg and Tupac AI versus, it's not really about the idea or kind of the push of putting AI into professionally recorded music and putting it out to make a profit. In my opinion, that shouldn't be the case. I just find it just kind of goofy, to be brutally honest. But it does play into kind of the mindset, I guess, of kind of playing the idea of Kendrick's voices in his head, especially from his idols when it comes to rap and also where he's from. It kind of plays the voices in the head of how he's going to respond. And while it does do its part, I just think it's a little bit off to the side, a little bit too goofy. If I'm going to be brutally honest, I much prefer just having the one verse and just keeping it brief like that, because I think it would have done just as much. I get the idea of why it's there. I just think that it's a little bit going off into a direction that's just making the beef really kind of goofy in that scenario. But the bars in here from Drake himself are really potent and interesting, especially when it comes to saying that Taylor is the new top and he can't drop until basically Taylor says so, because they do have a very mutual and more of a friendship that goes around with that, considering that Kendrick did re-record his verse for Bad Blood when it comes to the Taylor's version. So there is a lot of layers coming into this little diss, and again, if this was just one verse, I think it would have had just as much potency. But now this really, really paints Kendrick into a corner, because the one thing that Drake is doing incredibly well is that he is addressing the weaknesses that definitely Kendrick would definitely bring up. And I was thinking about this just even before this diss came out. I was just like, he's making the disses about the Swifties on push-ups, but he rolled back his album because of trying to figure out, is it Midnight's? I think it was Midnight's or one of the Taylor's versions. I'm trying to remember what Drake pulled it back for. But on the last little verse, Drake acknowledges that, and he makes a jab at it too. And it's probably my favorite part of the song, where it's just a little bit of a spoken kind of thing, kind of goofing around. But it's just like Kendrick is now just plotting in his mind. He's gonna have to wait a week and try to think of a quintuple entendre or something, or a quintuple double entendre that he's not even going to make sense of. And it's kind of becoming that point that it's taking too long for Kendrick to drop. And the more that you allow Drake to acknowledge the possible weaknesses that you're going to address in this eventual diss, if it ever comes out, the more that these jabs and these disses from this song are not going to hold any weight, because they're already acknowledged by Drake himself. And I'm going to be brutally honest, I kind of wanted Kendrick really to go with the throat at this point. This is the dog I had in this fight. I did want Kendrick to really challenge Drake, to really step up to the plate and really provide some good disses and some good jabs. Not because I have a thing out for Drake and I want him to fail. It's just, again, it's from my last video, a couple of videos ago. It's just all about competition, and it makes everyone's caliber increase and go up. So the fact that Kendrick is still holding back baffles me, because you sent the initial jab, you started this fire, and now you have your main adversary drop 2 disses already, and you're just sitting back and just doing nothing about it. And I know Kendrick is all about secrecy and being a little more secluded, especially from social media and stuff like that. But if you're gonna put the diss out there, you gotta make yourself more prevalent in this thing. You can't just sit back here and just kind of let this thing blow over like the diss says. The more that Kendrick does this, the more that these disses are gonna, the more time is gonna let these disses kind of grow and grow and grow and grow. And that's the big thing about disses now too, is that you got to respond immediately. You cannot wait for this long, because now Drake has 2 songs on you that have disses in it and also acknowledgments of weakness that you can't use as disses now. And if you do use those disses, people are going to, especially me, is going to say it's just like he already acknowledged this. So that's the big problem that Kendrick has, is that he has to respond quickly. Otherwise, all of these disses that apparently have been brewing for 4 years are just going to be mute because they either already been acknowledged or it took you way too long to respond. It's almost like I'm getting mad at Kendrick, but in reality, this is just a fun beef, to be honest. This is probably the most fun I've seen in rap in a very, very, very long time. And this is what rap needed. This is what we needed to kind of push us past this point that we kind of reached a lull for the past couple of years of just either mediocrity or kind of just the same kind of cyclical thing of trap, of rage, of just artists kind of looking at rap as more of a paycheck than it is an art form. So now it's great to see that the main people in this industry are really trying to push the envelope and make it interesting again. But you have to have Kendrick to do that too. And it's getting to the point where people that are very vehemently against Drake are now starting to get to the point where they're coming to the other side because you're taking forever. All I'm asking and all I'm saying, the more days that you take to not respond, it's going to get so much worse. So Kendrick has to respond at this point. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Kendrick drops, or I mean, if Drake drops another diss if it goes on for much longer. Because then if he drops 3 disses on you that are potent like this, you have a very big problem. And it kind of, I don't want to push it that far because I want to see what happens. But this kind of goes into the legacy conversation, because if Kendrick is touted and is toting himself to be one of the greatest rappers of all time, and I totally believe that he is 100%. But if you're going to start this beef, you have to at least engage in it in some way. So that's where we're going to end it here. I'll make a video on the Kanye thing. Do I really need to? But I will, even though it's the goofiest thing in the entire world. But that's where I'll leave it for now. Thank you very much for watching the past few videos. There has been a lot of traffic to this channel recently. And thank you very much for watching. And I will talk to you again soon.